How's it going, everybody? Sandwhichpants here today, and I thought I started streaming earlier, and then I realized for some reason it was on um trying to stream from mobile, which I don't do, like ever. I make some shorts, but I don't stream mobile. Usually because I'm maneuvering around doing stuff, driving, whatever. I don't. If I'm here, I've got my computer, and if I'm not here, I'm driving or at somebody else's house hanging out with them. And so I'd rather not spend a lot of time, trying to stream unless they were cool with it. And so far, none of my friends have mentioned doing that. Now we have a lot to go over here. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to start with topic one. Trump's lawyer now says Nancy Pelosi orchestrated Jan 6 riots. Let's see
A
what
Trump
the
lawyer,
facts
Alina
is.
Habba, is now making the new claim that Nancy Pelosi orchestrated the January 6th, 2021 Trump riots at the U.S. Capitol. How is that possible? How is it possible that that's what she did? Well, here she is, Alina Habba, explaining it herself. And there are two basic, fundamental, important claims that underlie this idea. They've both been debunked, and we're going to get to them, but understand that they don't even know what to say anymore. And so now it's forget about Trump didn't incite the riots. Nancy Pelosi orchestrated them.
Don't need it. Get them in place. He was concerned himself. He said, let's get extra military. We will give you people to come in and to make sure that the Capitol is safe. No, I don't want it. Well, now we see why, Eric. We see why, because it was orchestrated. Because she said, this is her moment. This is her moment. No, it's
Okay, so first off, I would like to see proof of this. Like, literally drop some proof. You're not going to because there isn't any, but yeah, no. They will just make shit up. That is the entire job of the GOP. Wait, did I didn't switch over. Sorry. Close Spotify. Didn't want to go to that one. Wanted this one.
not your moment.
Okay. So there's two claims there, and these are claims that they've repeated many times. The first claim is Trump asked for 10,000 National Guard troops, which would have prevented the riots. That's claim.
Wait. Oh, we can just look at this. Wait, hold on. Whose is this? Who put this out is the question. Because I don't think if this was put together by this news source. Following agencies represented: MPD, Park Police, Metropolitan Transit Authority, FBI Field Office, Washington Field Office, the FBI Headquarters, Supreme Court Police, United States Secret Service. Okay. A big protest called Be There Will Be Wild. Women for America First, Stop the Steal, Women for a Great America, and the One Nation Under God Fund. Yeah. They, them collective. Fuck yeah. DC Youth Liberation Front, based, and Shut Down DC, Refuse Fascism DC, also based. Protests/rallies are expected to be similar to previous Million MAGA March rallies in November and December, which drew tens of thousands of participants. It also expected that members of the Proud Boys, Antifa, and other extremist groups will rally. Well, Antifa would be there if the Proud Boys were there. If the Proud Boys weren't there, Antifa would probably still be there, but they wouldn't do anything. They'd just protest. Revised assessment finds no information regarding specific disruptions of acts of civil disobedience targeting this function due to tense political environment following the 2020 election. The threat of disrupt acts cannot be ruled out. Proposes perimeter fence, which they had. Wild protest. The comment includes a map of Capitol grounds indicating they will be gathering on the Senate East Front, Grassy Area 9. The webpage states, "We the people must take the U.S. Capitol lawn in steps. They plan to show support for the members of Congress who are expected to file objections to certification of the electoral vote." Okay, so this one was June 9th, 2022. June 9th. October 22nd. August 10th. June 10th, the day after this one came out. Military Times says Pence, not Trump, asked guard troops to help defend. Okay. So we're on this one. So let's see how accurate they are here. This, combined with Stop the Steal's propensity to attract white supremacist militia members and others who actively promote violence, may lead to a significantly dangerous situation for law enforcement and general public alike. to 6 agents during the week. Coverage 24/7. MP7 or M4 assault weapons. Investigation. Okay, so they had assault weapons, but they didn't want to use them. Okay. Senate Sergeant at Arms and House Sergeant at Arms. Mm. General Walker, DC National Guard, discuss the Guard's ability to support a request if needed. Okay, so the police are doing their fucking jobs here. Like, I don't agree with the function of police generally, but doing this to try and make sure that, like, a protest is gonna remain safe for people is actually kind of a good thing. Wow. There's so much in here. Holy shit. DC National Guard's ability to provide 125 troops if necessary. $276. Pepper ball launcher systems and FN 303. Okay. Okay. Okay, Trump begins speech. Insurrectionist. Speech ends. Okay. House Sergeant at Arms request for emergency declaration for National Guard support, which, remember, they could only send 125 if needed. Issues verbal emergency declaration and gives authority for National Guard deployment. Suspicious package. Urgently request National Guard support during teleconference with Chris. We don't like the optics of the net. Is advised by the Army Staff Secretary that we don't like the optics of the National Guard standing a line at the Capitol, and that his recommendation to the Secretary of the Army will be not to support the request. The fucking Army Staff Secretary declined it. Not Nancy Pelosi. Explosive device at RNC headquarters. Trying to make it look like it was an Antifa job, huh? Immediately remove and such take emergency equipment. Okay, so that's the same one. Alert. Suspicious package at DNC cleared. Okay. So he meets with Pence and Pelosi at 5:36. So let me scroll back up to say here. Okay, so we'll find these. Huh. So it won't find anything in here. Yeah, I didn't see anything in this. Trump admin. No, I didn't see anything in here. I saw the Capitol Police asking and the Army fucking secretary saying, nah. Yeah, right here. Sund urgently requests National Guard support during the teleconference with Christopher Rodriguez, D.C. Homeland Security, Chief Conti, MPD, General Walker, D.C. National Guard, Muriel Bowser, D.C. Mayor, Lieutenant General Walter E. Piatt, Army Staff Secretary. COP Sund is advised by the Army Staff Secretary, General Walter E. Piatt, that we don't like the optics of the National Guard standing a line at the Capitol. So this is literally the same thing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was no accident. Okay, well, this is straight up wrong. Even their own fucking source here is wrong. Trump never called for them. Cool. So, we know.
One. Okay, this is how we actually figure stuff out. Okay, the first claim is Trump says, I asked for 10,000 troops. They didn't give them to me. The second claim that's being made is Nancy Pelosi rejected the 10,000 troops coming to Washington, D.C. to prevent the riots. So two claims. Trump requested, Nancy Pelosi rejected. Neither one of them is true. The first one is the Trump claim, okay? There is no evidence that Trump made that request. Now, if you want to be endlessly skeptical, you can always say, is it possible Trump requested the troops and the request was thrown in the trash in order for there to be no evidence? You can always do that. But the point here is there is no evidence, written, telecommunications, people on the other end of the request saying, yeah, we got that request from the Trump White House. for the National Guard troops. PolitiFact has explored this and has determined that it is false. They have found no such evidence.
It's because it is false. So, yeah, we're good to go there. This is why I say his brain is flailing and also failing. They're just going to make shit up constantly.
The second claim is that Nancy Pelosi rejected the troops. Sean Hannity has been saying it for a very long time, and so have others. Again, there is no evidence that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, or anyone else rejected the request for the 10,000 or sometimes it's 20,000 troops that are mentioned. Now, of course, if there's no evidence that the request was ever made, there's no request to reject either. And that's another layer to this thing that's important to mention. I would love it if Alina Habba made some of these claims under oath. I don't think that's going to happen. And remember that Donald Trump's TV lawyers and his court lawyers tend to be different people. We heard from Michael Cohen about how that works. And I don't expect to actually see Alina Habba make any of these claims under oath. But every single one.
You know, that is true. It's something I didn't even really notice. But yeah, he has different lawyers in court than he does on TV.
Of these claims has been soundly rejected, and or there is simply no evidence for it whatsoever one way or the other, because it doesn't appear that such a request was ever made. They'll keep telling the lie.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Deepak. They will keep telling the lie. So we've got a lot going on here. I've pulled up some research stuff to go over. I've got the gubernatorial debate. That, yeah, it happened like a week ago, but you know what? I've been busy. Okay. Need to go over this because I haven't. I've saw a clip of it, and holy shit. And then this is research stuff that I can look at while this is playing, actually.
And I'm here to Republican Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt and Democratic challenger, State Superintendent for Public Instruction, Joy Hoffmeister. Let's welcome our candidates to the stage right now. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, audience. That's one of your chances to clap. My name is Trace Savage. I'm the editor-in-chief of nondoc.com. We're an independent journalism publication based here in Oklahoma. Thank you so much. We're a nonprofit. There's donation stickers at the door. And I'm here to moderate this debate tonight at the Will Rogers Theater in Oklahoma City with News 9's Storm Jones.
News 9 is streaming the debate tonight live on news9.com, newson6.com, and the Facebook pages of News 9, NonDoc, and other media partners such as The Frontier. The Frontier will be leading a fact-check effort after tonight's debate. We also want to wish those around the country welcome to Oklahoma from C-SPAN. Trace thought our national audience tonight would be a good time to tell folks neither of us rode horses to school.
But we might ask the candidates about teeth floating later, so be prepared. Okay, some people will get that, some people won't. This is our 10th time moderating a debate this year, Storm, so thank you so much for supporting public debates in the state of Oklahoma. You know who else has supported our 2022 public debate series? The State Chamber of Oklahoma. They're our presenting sponsor tonight. Thank you all so much for believing in public debates and believing that the public is well served by hearing their candidates. Now we just got word C-SPAN's live, okay. So, for those of you who tolerate politicians better with a beverage in your hand, you should thank the Hillary Communications Company and Fowler Automotive Group. They're our bar sponsors tonight, as well as sponsors of independent journalism. I've got a few other sponsors to thank for our 2022 debate series: AARP Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Public School Resource Center, the advocacy firm of McSpadden, Milner, and Robinson, Oklahoma Association of Realtors, and Overman Legal Group. Thank you so much for believing in public debates. And if you're watching at the Tulsa Press Club in the city of Tulsa, thank you to the Oklahoma Policy Institute and the Grand River Dam Authority for making that watch party possible. Okay, Storm.
Just a few more announcements. We're getting close. We are in public, so please remember to silence your phones. But while you have your phones out, go ahead and share that News 9 stream so your neighbors can be as informed as you are for being here tonight. We also want to remind you that the November 8 ballot will feature 2 other gubernatorial candidates, Libertarian Natalie Bruno and Independent Irvin Yin. Both have been polling below 5%, so we have to devote our time this evening to the 2 leading candidates for this important office.
Quick rules for the audience. Please hold your applause until the end of each round of questions, and please be respectful. Don't shout things, don't scream, don't be a jerk. I will ask security to get you out of here. I'll clear this room so we can keep this debate going for the thousands of people watching, but we can avoid doing that, right, Storm?
Surely we can. Here's tonight's format. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement, then we'll have 3 rounds of questions before a 90-second closing.
We flipped a coin earlier to see the order of opening and closing statements. Governor Stitt, you'll go first in opening statements. Superintendent Hoffmeister, you'll go second. Governor Stitt, 90 seconds. The stage is yours.
Well, first off, thank you so much for joining us online and all those in the audience. You know, I like to remind people how far we've come in the last 4 years. You know, we've gone from budget deficits to a record savings account, from 4-day school weeks and teacher walkouts to now the largest investment in education and teachers in the history of our state. A brightest economy with the lowest unemployment we've ever had. Folks, Oklahoma's turnaround, it is working. We simply can't go backwards, and we know what will happen if we put Biden's party back in charge. You know, I think about Americans who are struggling with high inflation. The Biden party, they want tax hikes. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, I cut taxes for every single Oklahoman, every single business, and I want to eliminate the grocery tax. You know, when I think about people just struggling to keep the lights on, Biden's administration, they're begging OPEC and Russia to produce more oil. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, we're protecting oil and gas jobs to have most of the affordable energy in the entire country. And when people just...
This, I do not believe, is actually true. We have some fairly expensive energy, as you can tell by looking at your OG&E bill. Also, Biden is not begging for more oil. He just released, like, a shitload from the reserves. He is trying to get other people to step up their oil production a bit so that we can, you know, help the global economy the way that we do. But, you know, Kevin Stitt doesn't actually understand any of this because his knowledge of economics is pretty dog shit. Accounting, he has a degree in. Broader economic, macroeconomics and microeconomics, he doesn't seem to understand.
Just want safe communities and families. You know, the Biden party is defunding the police. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma,
They are not, actually. That is not what has happened. Biden actually wants more money for police. He's been very open about that, and this man is just blatantly lying.
we back the blue. I gave our law enforcement a 30% increase this year, the largest they had ever had in the last decade. Folks, Oklahoma's turnaround is working. We cannot go backwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Superintendent Hoffmeister, 90-second opening statement to you.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you, and I am grateful for Governor Stitt coming for this debate, and all of those who have joined us today. This is important to have public debate. Thank you for hosting. My husband Jerry and I, we've been married almost 38 years. We have 4 grown children, and just 9 months ago, welcomed our first grandbaby. And as we raised our kids, we raised them with the same values that most Oklahomans hold dear. We value faith, family, education, hard work. And we know that it takes working together in order to see our economy thrive. We know it means that we've got to have a community where we put world-class schools at the top. where we have access to quality, affordable health care and safe communities, and where we are also prioritizing the infrastructure for great jobs in this state. I'm the daughter of an electrician, and my grandfather was an electrician. And it was that hard work that my dad did that inspired me to put education first. I was also that kid who struggled to read. I went to college, the first in my family. I stepped out of college, got married, put my husband through Baptist seminary, and we worked together to overcome a lot of challenges. But we know that for Oklahoma to flourish, we've got to get back to common sense, respect for one another, working together, and getting things done.
Thank you very much. Let's get to our first round of questions. I thought there might be a little bit. We'll hold the rest of the applause until they ask each question. Trust me, it goes better that way. Our first round of questions tonight is titled A Relaxing Run for Governor.
Yeah, that is one thing. State was completely against the medical marijuana thing, and it happened anyways. And now he's like, yeah, we've done great things with the marijuana industry in Oklahoma. It's like, you fucking didn't. God, this man is such human garbage.
Question will offer 1 minute to each candidate to answer. We will mostly alternate who.
Oh, things to note in this. So this is Oklahoma City's gross domestic product. We had a bit of a dip in 2019, and it's gone down in 2020. But it's still 74,398.35. Even on a dip at the height in 2018, it was at 81,863. Now, if you look here at Enid, its height is 4,000. And if you look here at Lawton, these rural Republican-run areas, it's 5,000. And if you look at Tulsa, which is more Democrat, 58,000. And if you look at Fort Smith, it currently is at 9,000. So if you look, Oklahoma political party control map 2022. Oh, wait. No, I just want... That's not what I want. God. David Holt is the mayor, but let's see. He's a Republican, which of course he is. This is a very red state. Republican mayor. 62 mayors in the legislature. That's not what I want to see. How do I not believe this? Nonpartisan. Tulsa. Nonpartisan. I don't believe that. Arizona went fucking blue. Holy shit. Tucson just... I'm not seeing what I wanted to see. Okay.
Answers each question first. Storm, you've got a toss-up first.
Yeah, this first question is going to be a toss-up. I'm sure it's going to be the most difficult question of the evening. When Governor Brad Henry was in office, he honed his skills as a painter. When she was governor, Mary Fallin would ride her motorcycle around the mansion grounds. This is a stressful job you're both seeking, so tell us what hobby or activity helps you relax. 30 seconds, whoever wants to go first.
Well, as a father of six, you know, most of my time is spent with chasing kids around at different sporting events, and my sixth graders playing football, so go Huskies for all them watching out there. I've got a ninth grader that plays volleyball, and so really just like most dads right now, juggling your job and then also being a good parent and following your kids around. I love doing that, and then trying to work in a date night with my wife is important. Thanks for being here, Sarah. It's usually dragging her to a campaign barbecue this time of the year, but it's a lot of fun being a dad and a parent and really serving Oklahoma.
Thank you. Superintendent?
Oh, that's an easy one. I love to spend time with our new grandbaby, Willa. And actually, you know, she's part of the motivation that keeps fueling me. And every time we think about what we are going to do for the future of this state, we think about our kids. And my husband and I have enjoyed hikes all over the state and state parks, as well as actually traveling many miles all over the state talking with Oklahomans. I've got 500,000 miles on my car to prove it, too.
Wonderful. Governor, I've got the first question for you. You campaigned for office in 2018 on making Oklahoma a top 10 state. I think everybody's heard that. But 4 years later, we remain ranked around the bottom 10 on states on key education and healthcare issues. As you make your case for re-election, tell us specifically, where have you moved the needle the most?
He's like, wait, what? We're shit at education? How do I spin this?
On making Oklahoma top 10, and where have you been unable to move that needle?
Well, thank you. You know, as a leader and governor, and whether you're CEO, you have to set a vision for all of your employees and for all the state. So being top 10 is an aspirational goal. It's something that we're never going to hit, but it directs us in that we live in the greatest state in the country. The American dream is alive and well in Oklahoma. For a kid that went to first grade in Wayne, Oklahoma, graduated from Norman High School, you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. So that vision is what I focus on. But we're number one in most affordable electricity. We're number 5 in bridge conditions. We were number 50th, the last place when I took over. In incarceration rates. That's something I'm very proud of. I've moved the needle, closed 2 private prisons, saving the taxpayer dollars, but also giving people second chances. But you know, you bring up a really good question. Education is something that everybody, that's what we want for our kids. Everybody out there wants that. What my opponent needs to answer is, why are we 49th in education right now?
Well, I've got that question right here. You've got that whoa sign. Take a look at that. Superintendent Hoffmeister, he led into it. I mentioned education rankings not being where anyone wants them to be. You've been state superintendent for 8 years. Where specifically have you moved the needle most, and where have you been unable to move that needle?
Oh, I appreciate this question, and you're right. Oklahoma is woefully prepared for the future in education because we do not have the people on the team to meet the needs of students. Oklahoma has a teacher shortage that leads the nation. When I first stepped into office, I asked for competitive pay to attract teachers. And we got that after 3 years. But what we realized, too, is that there needs to be more people on the team, school counselors, reading specialists, paraprofessionals. We are losing those people to other states and other industries. And we did raise our academic expectations, our standards, and now they moved from a D- to an A rating. But you can have the highest standards in the world, and if you don't have the teachers to teach them, what good is it? Here's the problem. This governor has a school voucher scheme that is a rural school killer. You kill the school, you kill the community.
Governor, 15-second rebuttal. We're going to get to all that in a little bit. Do you want to say anything right now?
Well, you know, the
15 seconds.
Here's the facts. You know, the facts are this, my opponent has received $1 billion in new spending over the last 8 years. The only thing that hasn't improved is education. So really, the people out there, Superintendent, want to know, you know, why has your record gone downhill in education outcomes since you've been superintendent?
Final 15 seconds to close us out.
Because we need a governor who gets it. We need a governor who understands the connection between people, teachers who are trained, resourced, and ready on day one to meet the needs of children who have very incredibly deep needs today. And we'll talk more about what those are and how to solve it.
Absolutely, we will. Storm, you have the next question.
All right, this 60 seconds starts with Superintendent Hoffmeister. Let's go back in time 18 months. You're both statewide elected Republican officials serving together on executive. This campaign.
Well, that's easy. Our governor hijacked the Republican Party. He's driving our state into the ground. I am aggressively moderate, always have been, and I believe in bringing people together.
Ooh.
Online. And as I view this state, we realize that we are not seeing a governor whose vision includes building the robust world-class schools that are needed. We don't have a governor who has put the access to health care for all patients in this state in.
Yeah, this is going to be really fucking annoying.
Of states that has the workforce to build a robust economy.
Governor, we're going to let you respond to that, but I do want to drill down on this for just a second. I think a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle want to know, State Superintendent, if you're a Democrat, the Democratic Party in the state has a 94-page party platform. How much of that do you subscribe to?
I'm an independent thinker. I am running as an Oklahoman, and I'm on one team, and that's Team Oklahoma. I stand here today representing Oklahoma families regardless of their party affiliation. And I will also say that I was a Republican longer than Governor Stitt was registered to vote.
Governor Stitt, 60 seconds. When did you get a sense that Mrs. Hoffmeister was displeased with your job and going to participate in this race?
Yeah, you know, those people that are sitting at their table right now, and we're getting into these things, here's the facts. We have the largest savings account in our state's history. I cut taxes for every single Oklahoman. We want to eliminate the grocery tax. We've been holding government accountable. We even small.
You have not been holding government accountable. Eliminating the grocery tax is actually something I do support, though.
Small government, lower taxes. My opponent, she couldn't see a path forward for herself as a Republican, so she switched parties. She joined Biden's party, which canceled the Keystone Pipeline day one in office. They believe in open borders.
See, notice he's making this about Biden when Hoffmeister literally just said, this governor is leading this fucking state into the ground and I didn't want to deal with the party the way it is now. So I left. She should have remained independent and just run that way. Would probably be more popular, honestly.
She's never saw a tax they didn't like and want to spend your taxpayer dollars. So, folks, the turnaround is working. We have an...
No, I'm a member of the Democratic Party. That is where I vote. And I literally just said I'm in favor of eliminating the grocery tax. This man is so stupid.
Awesome state. We are so much better off 4 years today than we were 4 years ago. We want to keep this momentum going.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to these candidates so far. Those of you who know me means that you know that we must be having a little bit of a technical issue with the video feed. I'm going to take a drink of water. Storm, you want to take a drink of water as well? This is a good time for you to share that stream again as we work that kink out. Just 1 second.
This is just GDP.
Delicious Aquafina water. Did I mention that Hillary Communications and Fowler Auto Group have sponsored that bar? So feel free if you need to get another beverage. I'm going to jump back into it. I hope we've gotten that worked out. They will let me know if we haven't, and we'll make sure that the people watching at home can see this awesome debate. Okay, Storm, where were we?
So this 60-second question will start with Governor Stitt. You spent a great deal of time trying to recruit major companies to move to Oklahoma, but one of the challenges facing our state and the entire country involves the workforce. Many industries are struggling to find qualified job applicants and companies and often speak of a skills gap in the hiring market. Simply put, what must be done to improve the situation for Oklahoma students and employers alike?
Thank you. We have to break down the silos between higher ed, common ed, and career tech. We need one workforce person that can get everyone aligned. And to me, it's pretty simple. Let's look at the jobs of tomorrow. What are the companies? What do they need? And then let's make sure we get that workforce ready. We need more engineers. We need more doctors and lawyers. But we also need more A&P mechanics and HVAC techs and more nurses. And so I'm constantly working with higher ed to focus on that workforce of tomorrow. One exciting thing that's happening in Norman, Oklahoma is we just set up an aviation program. We are thinking outside the box, folks. So a high school student, if they want to become an A&P mechanic, and by the way, just for all the young people working out there, American Airlines is hiring. It's $70,000 a year for a starting salary. So you can go to this high school. By the time you graduate, you're 90% there to an A&P mechanic. We have to think outside the box, and we can't keep doing the same things we've done for the last 8 years.
Superintendent Hoffmeister, what can be done to narrow that skills gap?
Well, this is the reason I'm running, because we absolutely are missing out on opportunities for industry leaders to come to Oklahoma, but also to keep people here. We've got to build a long-term plan, which is going to actually build capacity for our state. What the governor has done is focused on short-term gains. A Panasonic deal, $700 million. A lot of enthusiasm around that. I'm not against an incentive that makes sense with a high return on investment. But if we're going to look long-term, we have got to support our kids. They've got to have a competitive education. We can't dismantle public education, which is going to happen under the governor's watch. And we've got to make sure that Oklahomans have access to quality, affordable health care, and that we do nothing to prevent the health decisions that should be made between a patient, an Oklahoman, and their doctor. Finally, I want to say, we need a governor who can close a deal. All right? We need a governor who gets the connection with education and that will put Oklahomans first. The only business that is thriving under Governor Stitt's watch is his own.
15 seconds.
Here's the deal. I know the truth. She's not lying to me. She's lying to you, the public. We have the lowest unemployment in our state's history.
.5% was the lowest for Oklahoma County. There we go. All right. 2.9%. 2.9%. That was 2.6. We're at 3.2% as of September, so he was lying then. Because the debate didn't happen in February.
We have an economy that is growing. Right now, Oklahoma is number 11 in the country, 11th in migration, people moving to the great state of Oklahoma because of our pro-business, pro-freedom policies. We don't want to put Biden's party back in control of Oklahoma, of higher taxes and more regulation.
Superintendent, 30 seconds if you'd like it.
Yeah, the governor keeps talking about people out of the state. This is the practice. He reads off a national script and is out of touch with Oklahomans and the actual needs and solutions that are right here if we will work with stakeholders and those experts here in Oklahoma. I also know that he's taking credit for the largest savings account, yet he didn't sign the budget. He said he held a press conference and said because he didn't have anything to do with that. So it's a convenient today, 20 days before election, to talk about that.
All right, 15 more seconds, then we'll move on.
Again, to everybody out there at your kitchen table, we've gone from budget nightmares, almost zero money in savings, and you elected a business person. You wanted an outsider, not a career politician, to put a fresh set of eyes on every contract and hold government accountable. That's exactly what I'm doing for you. We've got the largest savings account in state history, the lowest unemployment. We cut taxes last year, and we're going to continue that momentum.
Thank you.
15 seconds, Superintendent, if you want it.
Well, yeah. First of all, I would just say that the governor talks about that we have low unemployment. But I want to tell you about conversations I've had with people. A woman in Tulsa, 4 kids, she's working 3 jobs. And she said home ownership is going to be out of reach for her. She can't imagine how she will ever afford it. It matters about the quality of jobs we have. And in order to be ready for that, we've got to have the education and the health to do it.
Thank you very much. I thought this was going to be a round called a relaxing run for governor, but who knows? Let's see if we get there on this question. A lot of people thought they would be voting on State Question 820 this year, which proposes decriminalizing marijuana in Oklahoma. Delays in the new validation process. Some people would be mad at me if I said delays, but delays in getting this validated means it won't be on the November 8th ballot, but yesterday Governor Stitt set a March 7th special election for the question. So we're curious, Superintendent Hoffmeister, 60 seconds to you. Will you support or oppose SQ 820 if you are elected governor? And let's go ahead and ask, have you ever smoked marijuana or consumed cannabis?
The answer to your last question is no. However, it depends on who's governor.
Well,
That's right, it's just fucked up. So, if you notice, the biggest contributors to GDP are the areas that are the most productive, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, which are the places where Democrats live. Like the big cities.
Okay, I'm going to light one up and then just pause for a minute. We lost, he didn't smile about that. We lost our video feed for just a second, and Governor, you're going to get a second to think about this because I'm going to come back to her and then I'm going to need to know when we're back up. We're switched. I got the keep going words. So just real quick, Superintendent Hoffmeister, the question was, if you are elected governor, will you support State Question 820 on the March ballot?
You know, I'm not certain yet, because part of that answer, I do think that it is something that we basically have recreational marijuana today, but we don't have the tax income. So that's very attractive to have the ability to actually have some revenue that would help education and some other needed areas. But what I'm most worried about is cleaning up the mess that's...
How do you not have the income? You tax 15 fucking %. That's all supposed to go to schools. We were the biggest... Okay, hold on. Sales were 945 million. And then they generated 14 million just through getting licenses. Okay. Yeah, this is data.oklahoma go. So yeah. 945 million. actually. That's how much money they made. 141,750,000 just off the tax revenue from marijuana, and that's not the only thing that's going to school funding. That's just one source. So that's a lie, Joy.
And left under Governor Stitt's watch. In fact, not only under his watch, but under his nose. His own appointee is helping Chinese businesses smuggle drugs right here in the state. We know that this is a serious crisis. Go talk with anyone.
Yeah, and just so you're aware, she's a Democrat because she switched, as admitted, from the Republican Party. But our Democrats are also usually about this bad. That's...
in rural Oklahoma. In fact, I was talking with Western farmers and ranchers about this very issue.
Let me let him get his answer in. Thank you very much. Governor, let me remind you of the question. If you're reelected in November, will you support or oppose SQ 820 in March? And have you ever consumed cannabis?
Are we talking about medical or recreational?
Either way, whatever form you would like to have it in.
To the people out there that are actually watching at home and concerned about this issue, it is a real mess. When I first became governor, it was a poorly worded referendum, and this industry popped up overnight, medical marijuana industry. So we passed 12 different laws last year to address it. We spun the agency out. We hired 80 new enforcement agents. We have a moratorium. So I heard from rural Oklahoma, with all the foreign nationals buying up farmland and ranch land, we put a moratorium. There's no more new licenses till we get control of this industry. We also are one of only 14 states that we passed. It's illegal for a foreign national to own farmland in Oklahoma. So we're doing drug bust. We are enforcing that. We're going to get control of that industry before we ever talk about the recreational piece.
Well, let me just ask you, though. So are you saying that if you don't get that under control, you won't support it, or you will support it? What is your position in March?
I will be very clear. No, I am not supporting that. It is still illegal federally. We should not have a checkerboard of jurisdictions across the state, so I'm not supporting recreational marijuana. I'm not sure, again, what my opponent is saying. She's been spinning this in a circle like a politician, but I think Oklahomans want to know what her answer is on this issue.
She said no. She doesn't really support it. He's so fucking nervous.
Well, let me ask you real quick. Have you, with the medical question, have you consumed it ever? Once? Nobody's mad.
My parents are in the room, so they're going to be very disappointed, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Storm, you've got a question about turnpikes, I believe. We're a little bit behind, but this is a great conversation. Storm, you're up.
Okay. Pulling the turnpike question.
By the way, I would want to just say, I do think it should be on the ballot. The people should have the opportunity to have their voices heard, and I will respect the will of the people. But we will do this in a way that is safe and that gets control again over the kind of Wild West that we're in today.
All righty.
Storm.
Governor Stitt, earlier this year, you announced a massive expansion of turnpikes in Oklahoma aimed at reducing traffic congestion. The plan is expected to cost about $5 billion over 15 years, and it's aggravated some citizens who will be displaced from their homes or have a loud turnpike in their proverbial backyard. What do you say to those Oklahomans whose lives are being upended for new toll roads?
Well, we want to be top 10 at everything we do, and that includes roads and bridges. And staying ahead of infrastructure and congestion is a huge advantage for Oklahoma right now. We've gone from 47th in bridge conditions with our hardworking folks in that sector, and now we're number 5. Everybody remembers in here in 2002 when we had the bridge collapse happened. 14 people lost their lives. Infrastructure is so important. We're focused on rural infrastructure. We want rural roads. I went to Washington, D.C. to make sure we got some funding for our rural highways, to put shoulders on all of our rural highways. So I'm an infrastructure governor. There's no doubt about it.
I hate to admit it, he has actually done the most for infrastructure that I've seen in the state since I've been alive. Now he's still in the pocket of oil companies and the cable companies and, you know, the big industries that lead Oklahoma. So is she. They're both still conservative politicians.
But we're going to accommodate every single person that we can as they're laying out routes, and there's engineering. So there's in comment periods right now. But we can't have gridlock. And what you're going to hear my opponent say is she wants to cancel it. And apparently she wants gridlock on I-35 for the next 50 years. But leaders have to lead. And we have an obligation to make sure that Oklahoma is well positioned for the growth and the momentum that we have going for all of our citizens.
Superintendent Hoffmeister, are you in favor of this turnpike expansion?
I am not in favor of the southern extension that was not part of what was established with the authority through the legislature. This is something that I have sat in the living rooms of those in Norman who are in the path of this. Over 600 homes. They are needing answers. So I think part of what we have to do is reform. We need eminent domain reform. We need to have the Open Meetings Act to apply to the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, and I am calling for the state auditor to do the first ever external state audit of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. 75 years that hasn't happened, and it needs to. Also, the 2-lane roads all across the state are where the deaths occur. These are killers, and instead of working to support safer roads all across the state, this governor has been dug in, and the way that the communities found out was when it broke on social media. We have a lot of work to do. We need a modern infrastructure for the future, and we don't have it today.
Thank you very much. Something's ringing. Well, that's the end of round 1 of questions. Give them a round of applause. Our second round of questions tonight is titled
Yeah, because that's what they always do. Like, there's a large group of Republicans who are usually in the state Senate and House, and even when we have a Democrat governor, which is not very common, but yeah, Brad Henry tried, the Republicans always hamstring it every time. And then when they get a Republican in, they don't do anything. Kevin Stitt's the only one who got in and went, I've got Republican supermajority, and people are really, really mad about the infrastructure. So he kind of had to do something. George Nye, yes. George Nye, I actually met and talked to George Nye, and he was kind of cool. Not gonna lie.
kitchen sink because we're going to throw a lot of things at him. We're going to have a slew of questions on prominent issues in civic discourse. Buckle up, Storm.
This is a 60-second question. Superintendent Hoffmeister first. Extreme drought and other weather events are becoming more common and are being blamed on climate change, which societies across the globe have recognized as a scientific consensus. Many people acknowledge how human activity that releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases contributes to climate change. The question, do you agree with that statement, and do you agree with the Oklahoma Democratic Party platform, which supports dramatic and bold actions be taken on a worldwide basis to reduce carbon emissions? 60 seconds.
There's nothing that defines the quality of life more than energy. We need more energy, not less. And frankly, there is no such thing as good energy or bad energy, clean energy or not. We have zero emissions that people talk about, which we know is not true.
No, and this is why we need to completely overhaul the entire fucking state apparatus here. Like, nah.
There are zero-emission cars, they claim, but they have emissions when they're built, when they're transported, when they're shipped. There's nothing clean about not having energy 24/7. Ask a hospital last year. Ask a homeowner last year during that winter storm or polar vortex when our grid did not, barely made it, and we saw an increased need to use gas because our homes were without electricity.
We don't have shit. We have wind energy, which is only effective, it's only really effective when wind is actually going. It's way less effective when it's not going. And we've got fucking gas. We don't have a lot of solar. We don't have nuclear. We don't have hydroelectric. We don't have this shit. Hydroelectric is what gives fucking Nevada power. Las Vegas.
And we did not have the ability to power this state with the right fuel during that storm. We need, and I'm critical, frankly, of this governor. I'm critical of Joe Biden. They haven't done enough to battle the needs of Oklahoma and the energy industry, and I will never turn my back on Oklahoma's energy industry, and I am not in favor of raising any taxes. In fact, I've called for a reduction of the fuel tax, and this governor didn't.
Governor, 60 seconds. Do you agree with the statement that human activity is causing climate change, and how do you balance that with the state so reliant on petroleum for jobs and economic activity?
First off, climate is always changing. What I'll brag about.
Oh my fucking God. Every goddamn time. I hate them. I hate them. He's so dumb. He's so dumb.
About Oklahoma is we've reduced our emissions 3 times the national average since 2005, from President Biden's own benchmark. It is clean burning natural gas that is leading to that. So the attack from the Biden administration, her party, on Oklahoma oil and gas is just unbelievable. Every single president of the United States since 1973 has had an energy independence policy. She joined this party. And day one in office, the same year she joined, they killed the Keystone Pipeline. That's what's causing inflation numbers to go up. That's why we're paying so much money at the gas pump. Oklahoma has an all of the above, more of everything approach. We're number 2 in wind energy. I've signed an MOU with the governor of Arkansas and Louisiana to get a hydrogen hub right here in Oklahoma. So folks, our energy grid, we're a net exporter, and we're one of only 4 states that can say this. One of only 4 states can say that over 40% of our energy comes from renewables. So I'm so proud of the Oklahoma story. I tell it all the time. You should be very proud of it, and it's leading to huge economic events here with manufacturing want to move here because of our reliable energy grid, something we're really proud of in Oklahoma.
Superintendent Hoffmeister will give you 15 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. American energy independence is American safety and security. Evidently, he reads off national scripts. I don't. I'm an independent thinker. I don't care what someone else has written or stands for. I am standing for the people of this state. I'm on one team, Team Oklahoma, and the energy sector is an incredibly important part of our economy.
Energy is important. Yeah, guess what? We waste 2/3 of the energy we fucking produce.
Jobs, and the people of this state need those jobs. This governor has, on his watch, we still have hundreds of wells that are offline. We can do more. He does not have a comprehensive energy plan, and we should have it, and we will. We only have, with this governor, 70 pages of pictures about fracking.
Governor, 15 more seconds on energy before we move on.
Well, I guess she wants government intervention and everything. I think our oil and gas companies do a fantastic job. We're number 4 in the country in oil production, number 3 in natural gas production. So I'm actually not sure exactly what she just said, but I support our oil and gas industry. We've got a thriving industry, and as well as our renewables. We can talk about both. And we're not having honest conversations, whether you're Republicans or Democrats, if you're not talking about the need for oil and natural gas and also the move to renewables. I'm going hard after battery companies, and we're going after electric vehicle companies. We have more charging stations per capita in Oklahoma than any other state. Oklahomans out there, we have a fantastic state. The momentum is building. We got to keep it going.
Thank you very much. I'm going to point you both at that octagonal woe sign and just kind of try to keep that in mind. Finish your thought when you see it from the young man up front. Governor Stitt, we're switching to another topic. Nearly 1 year ago, hours before a man named Julius Jones was scheduled to die from lethal injection, you commuted his sentence to life without the possibility of parole. Jones was convicted of murdering Edmond resident Paul Howell during a 1999 carjacking. A documentary questioned Jones's guilt, but prosecutors insist he was rightfully convicted. Your official statement made about your decision was that, quote, after prayerful consideration and reviewing materials presented by all sides of this case, you commuted the sentence. Tonight, can you be more specific about why you commuted that sentence? Do you believe Julius Jones was wrongly convicted?
You know, when you take the oath of office as governor, you promise to obey, we promise to defend, we promise to enforce all the laws in the state of Oklahoma. And the death penalty is probably the most surreal thing that you can do as a governor. So we have a process that we put in place. I spoke with all the previous governors about their process. We met with the defense attorneys, we met with the prosecutors, I met with the Howell family. And I felt like, after hearing all that information, that was the best decision for the state of Oklahoma.
Do you think he was wrongfully convicted? Why did you think that was the best decision?
Well, I'm not going to get into, I'm not the jury, I didn't see all the evidence, but that was the best decision for the state of Oklahoma.
Superintendent, I question whether I want to push back or ask you a third time, but
You'll get the same answer.
I'll get the same answer. I know what I think you told the Howell family. Are you willing to say that here?
No, you tell it.
It was not my story to tell. I didn't have their permission to do so. Okay, Superintendent Hoffmeister, beyond Julius Jones, Governor Stitt has denied commutations to a half dozen other death row inmates, even when the Pardon and Parole Board has recommended leniency. Tomorrow morning, Benjamin Cole, for whom the board did not recommend clemency, is scheduled to be executed for killing a 9-month-old baby. The Oklahoma Democratic Party's official platform calls for, quote, an end to the death penalty. Many of your supporters hope that you will discontinue the practice of execution in Oklahoma. If you are elected governor, will executions continue?
This is a settled matter in Oklahoma. The voters made it very clear when they voted for the death penalty, and it is part of our Constitution, and I will uphold that. But it is important that we have
We can change our fucking constitution. You dumb fuck. We can change our constitution. How long ago? (2016) I hate this this state. I really fucking do. I hate this state so fucking much. Oh my god.
governor who actually does the due diligence with that office.
I completely forgot about that because there's been so much shit that happened since 2016.
With those pardon and parole recommendations, not seeking national headlines like we saw on one day when the governor didn't do his homework and who allowed a violent criminal, in fact, to leave. And that criminal, along with, I don't know if he was too busy sowing division from protecting families, but tell that to the family of Andrea Blankenship, who was murdered by a man that this governor let out on a record day of letting out many nonviolent offenders, and he did not do his homework. And Governor Stitt let this man out, and he killed 2 other people as well. Or ask the Michelle Powers family, who this governor signed to release the crossbow killer of Tulsa, my hometown. And it wasn't until the media found out that was reversed. We need a governor who does his homework.
Governor Stitt, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yeah, again, to the people out there, and what she just said is simply not true. When we have released their low-level drug offenders. I signed the largest commutation in U.S. history back in 2019. Right now, we are leading the country in the lowest recidivism rate. That means people going back into prison. I'm very proud of the record that we've made make sense. We've been locking up people that we're mad at, and now we need to do it with the people that we're afraid of. And so we're giving second chances to some folks, but for her to twist this like this, it's just really, really disgusting and bringing up something that horribly happened. There's people that get out of prison every single day, and we can't control when something bad's going to happen. And for you to use that as political gains, that's super disappointing. And I know the people out there think that's a cheap sheep shot.
Well, let me say this real quick. We're talking about Lawrence Anderson, who was redocketed in error by the Pardon and Parole Board. This matter was investigated by the Oklahoma County Grand Jury. They allege that there was improper influence. I don't know about that matter. What is your understanding of why Lawrence Anderson got redocketed and then got commuted?
There's thousands and thousands of people that are currently in prison, and they're going to be getting out this year. They've got certain sentences, and the Pardon and Parole Board goes through those the best they can. There's 5 people on that board, and they recommend for some people to get released. And sometimes bad things happen, and with thousands of people every year, the other thing is just throwing away the key and locking every single person up for good. That's not the solution either, Superintendent. And so things are going to happen, and for you to take that type of shot and bring those wounds back up and try to make those families out there think that was somehow I was responsible, or the 5 people on the Pardon and Parole Board, they absolutely would change their vote and make a different decision if we knew that person was going to kill someone. Everybody out there knows that. We all know that you're just trying to make political points. That's disgusting.
30 seconds, Superintendent.
Yes. So,
real quick, let's keep the pause down. Thank you.
So let's talk about the facts. The fact is, the rates of violent crime are higher in Oklahoma under your watch than in New York and California. That's a fact.
Well, we'll have that fact checked by the Frontier.
Mm-mm. Oh my God. Well, turns out, yeah. We're sitting at about 15 major crimes per thousand residents, and New York is at around 13. So he
Here, Superintendent.
It's also a fact that
Hang
medical
on,
marijuana.
Oklahomans, do you believe we have higher crime than New York or California? That's what she just said.
Safety and security is my top priority, and it will be as governor.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next question. Storm, you have it for Governor Stitt also.
Yes, thanks to legislation you signed as governor, abortion is now categorically illegal in Oklahoma, except when a woman's life is in jeopardy. If a woman or underage girl is raped or is struggling with severe chemical addiction, she is criminally prohibited from terminating a pregnancy in Oklahoma. If one were to be passed by the legislature, would you sign a law allowing abortion in cases of rape, incest, or when a woman is entering rehab for a chemical addiction? 60 seconds.
You know, as a father of 3 daughters, just unimaginable pain, and I can't imagine if something like that would have happened. You know, we believe that life begins exception in Oklahoma. There are exceptions in our law that we're going to leave up to the healthcare professions. But I think we want to be number one in caring for the mother and the child in Oklahoma. We want to be number one in adoption rates. But I think the most extreme view here is my opponents and her party. And she won't actually answer it. But there's states like Colorado and California and New York that will abort babies all the way up until the time of birth. They're more aligned with North Korea and China. Even France bans abortion at 14 weeks. You won't hear her giving an answer. I'm very clear on my pro-life stance in Oklahoma, and I would like to know, is she going to side with the Biden party and allow abortions all the way up until the time of birth?
We are going to hear from Superintendent Hoffmeister, but speaking of being very clear, would you sign an exception for rape, incest, or addiction?
You know, if the legislature put that on my desk, I would sign that.
Okay. Superintendent Hoffmeister, 60 seconds. And also, when it comes to abortion, how would you work with the Republican legislature on that?
The women of Oklahoma have heard you loud and clear, all right? And let me tell you that we have a governor who has shown no mercy for victims of rape or incest. He has signed and invited the most extreme ban on abortion in this country. I am personally pro-life, but I haven't walked in every woman's shoes. I don't favor extremes on either side of this issue. This is a healthcare decision between a woman and her doctor and her faith. We need to repeal what the governor has done. He has criminalized healthcare. He has criminalized standard medical care.
Yeah, this is a good solid punch, as well as the crime rate one.
He has assaulted women and doctors. And when he was confronted by a rape victim who said, "Governor, what would you do to help me?" he had no answer. He had no help. I am
going to let the governor. We're going to let Governor Stitt respond to that, but Superintendent Hoffmeister, you mentioned repealing the abortion laws. Those passed with overwhelming support in the legislature. How do you do that? Are you willing to veto the budget? What leverage do you have on abortion? Superintendent,
Because
yes.
of the clapping, I'm sorry, did you direct that at
Yes,
me? Yes.
you mentioned, yeah.
Yes. We have a supermajority Republican House and Senate. Politics is about relationships. And I have worked with many of our Republican and Democratic-led elected leaders in the House and Senate. And there are many who have worked to advance issues that their communities want, and we do the hard work of building consensus, of bringing people together and leading. This governor fights with the legislature. Instead of saying, all right, let's come together. What are your top priorities? These are the things that are going to be a no-go. I'm going to be a backstop to some of that as well, but we will work together to get things done for the people of Oklahoma.
Thank you, Superintendent. Governor, 15 more seconds on abortion if you'd like.
Again, to the people out there, I'm very clear that I believe that life begins at conception, and we don't even know where my opponent stands on it. Again, she stands with the most extreme of her party, and they will not say, when is it too late to take a...
She literally, this fucking dumbass. She literally is like, yeah, no, I don't support the extremes on either end. I don't think it should be banned, but I also don't think that the all the way up till like not the 9-month mark is acceptable, which nobody believes that one is. Like, honestly, if you went 9 months and there was unless there was like a serious issue like right as you're about to actually give birth, then yeah, no, that doesn't happen. But this dumb fuck didn't even pay any attention to it. And he's just like, we don't know nobody knows where my opponent stands on this. Like, in one sentence, and then she stands with the furthest extreme of her party. How do How are you going to say nobody knows where she stands on this and then claim that she stands with the furthest extreme after she already answered?
Human life. They don't know. They won't tell you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay,
Excuse
10
me.
seconds. 10
I
hard
continue
seconds.
to hear a theme with Kevin Stitt. It's all about party. Do you hear it?
It's about truth.
This
what
is
it's
about people
Answers.
for me. Excuse me. This is about people over party. This is about Oklahomans. This is about the real issues facing Oklahoma today. I am going to fight like hell for the future of this state, and I don't care. I'll hold both parties accountable. We're going to do what's right for Oklahomans, and that is why I'm running for office.
All right, thank you very much. That's the.
Look at his face. He can't fathom the idea of trying to hold his party to account. Or that you should put people over party. He can't fathom this because he only puts himself over all.
Let's take a round of applause for them so far in the race. We're running behind like mad, so we're going to jump into education. Storm, you have another toss-up question for the candidates.
We are very behind, so please try to mind that stop sign and forgive us if we get a little rude here with the time. Let's talk about the apparent alleged criminal mess that's become Epic Charter Schools and its founder's private management company, Epic Youth Services. This is a toss-up, so whoever wants to take it first for 90 seconds. Ben Harris and David Cheney were some of Oklahoma's most prominent political donors for years. Governor Stitt, they donated $2,700 to your 2018 campaign. Superintendent Hoffmeister each donated more than $8,000 to your 2018 campaign. Now they both face embezzlement charges, and the two of you have blamed each other for the Epic saga. So without further ado, who's to blame and what went wrong with Epic? 60 seconds, whoever wants to start.
Well, when I came into office, she had already been there for 4 years. Just so everybody out there knows, she was a Republican and she was the superintendent of education 4 years before I got there. Took up to $50,000. When I first got there, I knew there was a problem. I called for an audit. Then she signed on to my audit. She could have done it before I got there. I returned, when they got indicted, I returned all of my campaign donations. I think 2,700 you said. I don't remember exactly what the number was. My opponent has still not returned over $50,000 that she received from them. She was in charge of that. We have to hold people accountable. That's what I've been doing. I've called for more audits to be more transparent with your taxpayer dollars. That's the reason we have the largest savings account we've ever had in state history. We're ranked 4th in the country in that, by the way. And we will continue to hold government accountable as long as I'm governor. I'm putting a
Okay, here's the thing. You are a government. Your savings should not be a huge sum. You should be spending money on your fucking citizens, which you are not. You do need some savings, but honestly, Japan, like, people are talking about this big recession that Japan's supposed to have, and from what I've seen, like, they keep getting hit with little mini recessions, and then they recover from them, even though they, like, did some really, really nutty stuff and work off of pretty much all debt. Economists for decades have been like, Japan's economy is going to collapse any day, and they're just like, no, we're still chugging along.
set of eyes on every single thing. And when I called for the audit of the education department that she runs, it's the largest spend in taxpayer dollars, she called it an attack. Oklahomans, I call it transparency, and so do you. So I think she needs to answer, why would she?
I think I could actually answer this one. The only reason an audit was called was because she announced that she was running as governor. That's the only reason you called for an audit. You didn't give a fuck before then.
Call an audit of the education department an attack. And why didn't she do an audit before I even got into office?
Superintendent, I think we had 90 seconds on Epic.
Yes, thank you. So this is a governor who stood in the way and protected his donors. That's the difference between the governor and me. I held donors accountable. And we saw this governor shield them. In fact, his own state board members were reluctant and refused to accept the audit findings of the state auditor. When she said, you must claw back a certain amount of money, it is true. Their answer was, let's audit the auditor. And we've had to spend about 10, 11 more months going through every single transaction to audit the auditor. And then only at that point, well, wait, let me back up. It gets better. When I called for probation for Epic, his board refused. They refused to hold them accountable. And it was, again, a second call after we saw change in leadership. But they still had friends and allies on that board, and they would not do it until those people were gone. Here's the bottom line. We have a governor who knows the State Department of Education needs subpoena power. They have refused it. We have seen the epic scandal turn into putting profit over kids. We have called for change, and this governor has stood in the way and protected donors.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. We're going to move on very quickly to school choice questions. Those of you, probably everybody knows there was a push in the legislature last year for education empowerment acts. People call them vouchers to help people go.
No. Okay. This is one of the biggest problems. School vouchers and shit like that are absolute dog shit. School choice, fucking dog shit. Fund schools appropriately. Stop funding dumb shit. Stop pulling money away from schools and infrastructure to give goddamn subsidies to the most profitable businesses in our state. Stop. Just put the money where it is actually fucking needed. Where the fuck else is OG&E gonna go? Where the fuck else is Devon and Chesapeake gonna go? They're not leaving Oklahoma. I guarantee it. Actually put the money into the educational department where it needs to fucking go. Fix the goddamn schools that actually need it. Don't take this money in and then look at the fucking, more ritzy, John Marshall's and even Dove, which is also like a charter school, I think. But like all these other fucking big-ass schools that have up-to-date shit and then fund more money into them for their goddamn football teams, PCO and shit. No, you don't need to fucking do that. What you need to do is you need to look at the little fucking neighborhood schools that aren't getting the attention. The ones that are in the most, the lowest income, lowest property tax bracket. That's the one. And make them actually good. That'll boost educational attainment in this state a million times. Not school vouchers. That only works for a certain number of fucking children. We want all of them to succeed.
To private schools. Governor Stitt, what do you tell rural educators and parents who see school choice rhetoric like that and vouchers as a threat to their district's local funding? 60 seconds.
Well, thank you. First off, to everybody out there watching on TV, the ads that her campaign and her special interest groups have been running against me to try to deceive and lie to you and create chaos and say that I'm going to defund your rural schools, it's absolutely untrue. I have put more money in education than any other governor in history. That's a fact. More money in education. We just passed the Redbud bill, which would actually put more money into our rural schools. We passed a bill to pay teachers up to $100,000 a year. And folks, I know that education is the most important thing to all of us to make sure our kids have the right education. But at the same time, we're gonna think outside the box, and I'm gonna stand with parents over big unions. My opponent shut down schools for over a year. Folks, we will work like crazy to make sure we have the best teachers in the classroom teaching your young people, and we will fund our rural schools. And for them to send out mailers and lie to you, it's just disgusting.
Well, what's disgusting is a governor who presents his own argument as fact, and it's not. Here's the truth. This governor says just now that he's going to preserve rural Oklahoma. But we all know that his voucher scheme is a rural school killer. You kill the school, you kill the community. And frankly, it'll be epic on steroids. And we won't get that money back. And we also know that you kill the community in rural Oklahoma, and I passed through those communities where their schools gone. So is the community. So is the town. And soon the regional hospitals. This matters. If we are going to see Oklahoma thrive, we have to have a vibrant, growing rural communities. And we will not have that under your watch. You have promised that you will bring vouchers in if you are reelected, and you will see the dismantling of public schools. We will never be able to meet the workforce needs of business and industry. It is a no-go with me, and that is clear. I stand with rural Oklahoma.
Thank you very much. Storm, next question.
All right, we're going to move to another important topic, the jurisdictional challenges and questions in eastern Oklahoma that have stemmed from the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in McGirt v. Oklahoma. This question will first go to Superintendent Hoffmeister. That decision affirmed the Indian country reservations of the Muskogee Creek, Cherokee.
I'm going to cut this off after this question because I am starving.
Chickasaw, Choctaw, Seminole, and Quapaw nations. Superintendent Hoffmeister, you have been endorsed by the leaders of the 5 tribes, but we're curious to know your interpretation of the McGirt decision's impacts. Do you believe the McGirt decision only applies to criminal jurisdiction, or does it go to places like...
Yeah, and see, this is also where I do not give a fuck about tribal leaders' opinions on some of this stuff. they support Republicans. The 5 tribal leaders that endorsed Stitt, I don't give a fuck. They're conservative. I don't give a fuck. They endorsed Stitt. Objectively, one of the shittiest governors we've ever had.
Civil law, environmental regulations, and notably taxation. 60 seconds.
We are in a mess of the governor's making with McGirt. Obviously, the ruling came, and we saw a governor who did not work immediately to secure those communities all across those 6 affected tribes and work together to establish a compact that would address cross-jurisdiction or cross-deputization, where we can ensure that we are keeping everyone safe in these criminal matters. Instead, what this governor has done is what he does with a lot of things. He is sowing chaos and division, and that division is pitting neighbor against neighbor. This does not help us. Let's stop and think for a moment. Our sovereign tribal nations represent a $15.5 billion economic impact a year to the state. Collectively, they are the largest employer in the state, but this governor burned bridges before McGirt, and then he had nothing to walk back over when it was time to keep Oklahomans safe.
Superintendent, do you believe McGirt applies to civil matters, environmental regulations, and taxation?
That is a matter that is going to require work together, and we know it's being litigated right now.
Yes or
not
no?
all the
What do you-
tribes, no, that's not a yes or no answer, because those are different tribes that all have a different view on this. You collectively lump people together. That is not the kind of leader that understands that we have 39 unique sovereign tribal nations in this state, and they don't speak with one voice. In fact, the historic moment was when they stood up and said, "You must go."
Governor, 90 seconds. Do you believe that McGirt applies to civil law applications, and why?
Yeah, see, the 5 tribe, they're like the main 5 tribes, I think, that endorsed it. The tribal leaders, they're conservative. I don't care about what they have to support or denounce. I don't.
Your administration spent so much state money fighting these battles in
Yeah,
court.
this is great for everybody out there watching on TV, because this is a clear difference between me and my opponent. The McGirt decision was a federalization of all of eastern Oklahoma. Basically, the Biden administration now in charge of eastern Oklahoma. That's what that was. And
No. What? For one, the president is in charge of the country. Every state. He doesn't directly lead every single one, but if a decision is made, an executive order is issued, you kind of have to fucking follow it as a governor. If you don't, that's grounds for impeachment. That's grounds for prison. So, no. Okay, I have to end it here. I have to. This man's dumb. This is ridiculous. Holy shit. I learned so much. For one, Oklahoma does have a higher crime rate than New York or California, at least where I checked. California is at 14, New York is at 13 per 1,000, and Oklahoma is close to 16 per 1,000. So that's great. Kevin Stitt doesn't understand what the fuck the McGirt decision was or how it impacts anyone in this state. Oh my god. Oh no. Fucking keyboard got wrapped up under my chair wheel. Also, the economy of Oklahoma has actually done statistically better than it is under Stitt. He is trying to use raw numbers as opposed to adjusting for like inflation and shit when it comes to like income and all sorts of other issues. Joy is honestly, she is barely better than Stitt. Like, barely. So, in my overall opinion, neither one of them is worthy of being governor of this state. Both of them are dog shit and should probably step out of public life forever. I dislike both of them greatly, and if I had a third choice to vote for that wasn't this yin person who literally just is copying Andrew Yang, so I don't trust them, I would probably vote for them. But I have to choose between Joy or Stitt because of the duopoly bullshit. It affects me here. I hate it. I'm done. Fuck.